Hey, it's Yazuki Wolf, and I got one more excursion here to as a sort of virtual study abroad experience, I guess lesson or experience, I don't know how we'll say it, but for now, let's just get into it. So, coming forward here, we have this character at the top of the screen, and this one, it's going to be a little bit tougher. There's a lot more kanji in this than the last one that we featured, but I think the grammar and sort of the situation is understandable enough, so she's saying here, Shinjuku. And then this one you should be able to read if you're learning your hiragana. That's to, right? So Shinjuku to, and right here we see very big the kanji here for Shinjuku. Shinjuku, by the way, is a name of a station in Japan, a very famous station in Tokyo, that is. And Harajuku also is the same. And this is on the left-hand side that says Harajuku. Once again, you may notice that I'm reading from right to left, and not left to right, because that's the way that we read things in Japanese. So we have Shinjuku to Harajuku te. So Shinjuku to Harajuku te. Namae niteru kedo. So there's not a lot of hiragana for you to read here, but you will see you have te right there. Right here we have another te and ru. Teru kedo. So Shinjuku and Harajuku, the names Shinjuku and Harajuku, niteru means that they are very similar. But, so the kedo at the end is what I call the hanging but. It's when they put the but at the end of the sentence to kind of just leave you in suspense. Or sometimes they don't even fill it in. They just like say but, and you're supposed to just assume what the rest of the sentence is going to be. But anyways, we'll go on to the next frame. Lots of kanji again, so sorry about that. But we have zen zen chigau basho nano. So she's asking a question, so I'm sorry, it should be zen zen chigau basho nano. So zen zen is like completely or like altogether, right? So chigau is different. Chigau basho. Basho is a place. So Harajuku, so she's saying Harajuku and Shinjuku, they sound really similar, but is that the same place? And she continues on to say, and here we have some hiragana to actually see if you could decipher. So we have ma, da, and da, once again we have the ta sound with the 10-10, which voices it to a D. Dochimo. And this is another thing we're going to come into that I don't know if I actually talked about this in my video or not when we were talking about the T sounds, but this is what we call a chisai tsu. So it's a tsu, but it's a small tsu. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but this is somewhat smaller than the other characters in the font. And that's small because you don't actually pronounce it as tsu. You're actually just, this is here to let you know that the next sound preceding it is going to be stressed a little bit more. So instead of it's not dotsu-chi, it's dot-chi. So you kind of just you not really bite your tongue, but you kind of just stop for a second before at the beginning of the sound of the chi, and you just kind of there's a linguistic term for it, but I can't remember exactly what it is. It's not a glottal stop, is it? I don't know. If any linguists that know, like, let me know what the linguistics term is in the comments. But it's instead of, so if there was no chisai tsu there, it would be dochi. But then when you put the tsu in the middle, it becomes dochi. There's a part like right before the beginning of the sound that you just kind of catch the sound and then let it out. So dochi. So mada dochi mo. And once again here we have another chisai tsu up here. So this is actually the kanji for iku. And you may remember that from my lesson, but when iku, which means to go, is put into the past tense, it becomes itta. So here you have itta. So dochimo itta, mada dochimo itta koto nai ndakedo. So nai means I haven't had yet. So basically what she's saying here is I haven't gone to either of the stations yet, but, and now this one really is the hanging but, because you see the three dots at the end. This is the but that you put at the end of the sentence to just kind of like leave it for the person you're talking to figure out what you're saying. You don't have to say anything more. You're just saying but, and then you just kind of leave it hanging, and then they figure it out. This is really useful if you're looking for directions, by the way. If you're in a train station and you say you're looking for Shinjuku Station, you might say Shinjuku ni ikitai n da kedo. Well, don't say dakedo. That's a little rude. Shinjuku ni ikitai desu kedo. So you have desu kedo, right? So ikitai, that you may have seen that in my lesson where I talk about the want form. Ikitai means I want to go. So basically all you're saying is I want to go to Shinjuku, but, and that's the hanging but. you're not asking for directions. You're not asking them, can you tell me the way? I mean, that would be what's implied. I want to go to Shinjuku, but I don't know the way, so can you please tell me? No, you don't actually say that second part. You just say, I want to go to Shinjuku, but... And then the person you talk to, they'll be like, oh, yeah, you can go this way and whatever and whatnot. And that's something about Japanese. It's a lot less direct than English. Whenever they could drop things out of the sentences, they do. You know, they drop subjects, they drop whole thoughts, like in that last sense with the hanging butt. But yeah, so that will probably have to be a video of its own. I'm scared to see what the thumbnail is going to be with the hanging butt video, but we'll figure that out when we get there. So continuing on, so she says, I've never been to either one of them, but I don't know, what do you think? And he's saying here, zen zen. So this is actually the same word that we had earlier with the kanji where it said zen zen over here, but now it's not in kanji because they want to stress the way that he's saying it. Like with the kanji, it just tells you what the word is, but here it's actually a phonetic. It's telling us how he's saying it. And you notice that right in the middle here we have that chisai-tsu right there. So we know that he's not just saying zen zen. He's actually like pausing it. He's like stressing it in the middle. So he's saying zen zen, you know, zen zen chigeyo. And now this is another interesting because this is not the proper spelling. So this right here is actually the same again as what she's saying over here. So over here we have the kanji for let me actually delete all these lines so it makes it a little easier to see. This is a chigao, and that means different, or like like different basically, right? And that's the kanji, and it's chigao, right? But now over here he's talking in the kind of stereotypical like cool guy man speak. So he's not going to say chigao, he's going to say chige, like chi-ge, and then stress it. So chige, and then yo, that stresses even further, so it becomes chige-yo. So she was like saying like that, are they the same place because they sound kind of similar? He's saying like, what the hell are you talking about? No, they're completely different. Zen zen chigao-yo. And he goes on to explain the differences, where he says Shinjuku to Harajuku wa na. And so wa na is like, he's like, okay, listen to me now, I'm going to explain it to you. Yasuda. So here we have the kanji again, Yasuda, and they're written really big here as well, in case, just to emphasize, I guess. Yasuda to Yamada. Gurai chigao. So Yasuda and Yamada are people's names, their formal names. So it's like he's saying it. They're just as different as if you knew a person named Yasuda and you knew a person named Yamada. And she says, oh, okay. So she says niteru kedo betsujin. So this is another word we had earlier, niteru. Niteru means to be similar. So they are similar, and there's our but again, kedo. So but, they're similar, but betsujin, they're different people. And then he continues, Shinjuku eki wa, let's see if you could get this one. This is in katakana. Da, ji. Oh, okay, here's how I have to explain. So notice here that we have a yo. So this katakana here is yo, but it's smaller again, just like the chisai-tsu. So what that means is that this yo is going to be combined with the ji, and it becomes jo. We'll have to get to that in my lessons in the future, but just for now, keep in mind that it's da, jo, and then So danjon. So he's saying dungeon. That's for like RPGs, right? Right. Then here we have hiragana again. So we have da kara. Hitori de iku. You may remember that from my lesson, even though it's written in kanji here. Iku means to go. Iku nayo. So here he's talking about Shinjuku Station. And eki, that also was another term from our lesson. So Shinjuku eki, Shinjuku Station. Shinjuku eki wa dungeon dakara. So Shinjuku Station is basically a dungeon, is what he's saying. So don't go there alone. So here it seems like he's slipping into some RPG talk as he continues here with the kanji. We have shoshinsha, that means beginners, and then or like noobs, I guess. Wa is a particle. We'll get into that in the future. Haita went inside. Ga, but, and here's kanji again, saigo at the end. Mazu, sorry, it's probably hard for you to see that there is a 10-10 attached there, so that the su sound turns into a z, so that's mazu. And here's our kanji again. We have this is ground and above, so chijo, that's above ground, ni deraranai. So altogether, Shoshinsha wa haitta ga saigo mazu chijo ni deraranai. So Shinjuku Station is basically a dungeon. Don't go in there by yourself. A beginner like entered into the station and they were never actually able to find their way back above ground. So it's a very scary station. And I think that's actually what it says here. It says Tokyo. And this is the kanji for Tokyo there. And then we have Shitage. But now on the side here, you'll see that you have these little small lettering next to it. And what that is telling us is that he means shitage, but he's actually saying sugoku, and sugoku means very or very very much or like amazing or great or something like that. So sugoku, and then over here we have ko wa I. So Tokyo sugoku kawaii, which means Tokyo is really scary. You know, there's places like Shinjuku that are like dungeons that you'll get lost inside and never see the light of day again. And that is the end of the comic. So I don't know. There was a lot of kanji in there. It may have been a little bit difficult, but I think there were some interesting things to note as well. I think there's also some stuff I'm gonna have to go into more in depth in future lessons, like the small lettering with like the yo here and the chisaitsu and stuff like that. But at any rate, let me know if that was helpful to you. Keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.